Good afternoon, everyone. SBG, Active Aussie here. Wednesday afternoon, it's about 4:10. Just a non-MGTOW related video, mostly for any of the Australian guys who are watching. You might have noticed in the news on Monday, there was that gangland killing, gangland execution at Bondi Junction in Sydney, and apparently that dude was a major cocaine dealer in the Sydney region. And I was listening to a criminologist and also a crime journalist on Sydney radio fairly early this morning, and I did not realise that cocaine prices in Sydney are among the highest in the world, and apparently even some South American crime syndicates want to get in on the act because the Sydney market is apparently so lucrative, and cocaine is fairly easy to obtain at many bars, restaurants, cafes, etc. in the eastern Sydney region. And this is being driven apparently by a lot of wealthy lawyers, real estate agents, accountants, etc. in that eastern Sydney region. And there must be a lot of it flowing into Sydney, because only 1% of the containers that come into Port Botany are actually checked, and by the police or customs, I suppose, and that is often only because of some sort of tip-off. That one dude got caught a while ago with 100 kilos of cocaine, but that was just by chance. He was loitering around a container, and a few people became suspicious and reported him, and then the police turned up. So for every bit they find, every seizure, there's a lot that they do not come across. So there are probably tons and tons of it coming into Sydney. But I guess you can't just blame the dealers. You have to also blame the people who are creating the demand for it, and it seems to be wealthy professionals, or just generally Sydney's more affluent, more wealthy type of population. And this could lead to quite a big problem, because there have been people innocently caught up in these instances of gangland violence. For example, a nurse was working at a hospital at Auburn, and a bullet came through the window. She got shattered with glass and received lacerations and had to go to hospital. A truck driver was also injured by a stray bullet when he was making a delivery, and one guy was actually murdered in a case of mistaken identity, because he was driving the same sort of luxury car that a drug dealer was driving around in. And apparently this dude who got murdered, executed, whatever you want to call it, on Monday, was very cavalier, very careless, and he used to post on social media, put his cars on there. People knew where he was going, knew what gym he was going to on a regular basis, so he really set himself up to be found and to get shot. So not the brightest bulb in the box. But I suppose if you're a criminal, you get involved in organised crime, that's what you've got to expect is going to happen to you. I've never really liked Sydney. It's just a total shithole these days, however, and not just because of drugs, because of all sorts of things. Poor infrastructure, the traffic, too many aircraft, a lot of aircraft noise, and a new airport is under construction. It will open about mid-2025. That's if it stays on schedule, otherwise it'll open in 2026. But that's just going to bring more people in, and This morning I was at a cafe and there were two older guys sitting behind me, and I was just sort of eavesdropping, and they were talking about how the Australian government has its priorities all wrong, talking about this voice referendum that will be coming up, and these guys were saying instead we should be talking about the cost of living, too many people coming in here, too much immigration, too much pressure on the roads, on housing, on all different types of infrastructure. So I think a lot of Western countries are starting to suffer from these sort of problems, in the USA and Europe as well. So it's becoming a universal type of problem in many Western cities. But I just try to avoid Sydney now. I just hate the place. Just transit through the airport sometimes, but that's about it. Anyway, if you're from Sydney and you know a bit about what's going on, is there a lot of cocaine around? Have you noticed it? Not saying you're a dealer or anything, but sure, maybe in your suburb you've just happened to find out about it. But let me know anyway, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.